Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome if you're new. I'm Stacy. This is my big mermaid piece. It is about 3.5, 4 feet wide and 3.5, 4 feet tall. 3 feet tall. She is large. She's very big. Here's her top. Let me see. Can I get her top in? There's the edge. Top edge. And it's very wide. We're concentrating tonight on I'm going to concentrate first and foremost on finishing up putting in the base colors on her lower tail area down here. I have a couple of reference photos up for color scheme and like not shading exactly, but lay that down. And you may see me shift the piece here and there just so that I have a good angle on what I'm doing. But for right now, I'll leave it like this. Gonna work on this portion right here for a little while. And then I'm probably gonna shift up and work up here a little bit and then back up into her face and then work back down. I'm working on her first because I want her to be pretty locked in before I start on all of her surrounding elements. And only because she's going to be in colored pencil, and colored pencil pieces take forever. I have recently done a couple of colored pencil pieces that I'm very, very happy with, but they took a long time. Here, let me see. I will show you them. Well, in this one, I put a little bit of time into this one. These are all YouTube videos as well. There's this one, which I love, little sunset beach scene. And then this was, the first one, sketch box, colored pencils. And I love her. I love how she turned out. I think she's gorgeous. And then I just finished this mermaid one, and I think she turned out amazing too. I love the textures colored pencil offers. So that was what prompted me to want to do her in mostly colored pencil. I have started out, I have some footage of that as well. But I decided to kind of start from here because that footage is just utter crap. I have put down a blue-green background in watercolor. As you can see, it's a very light, pale blue-green, just for a base color for the background so that I am not working on her and her alone with no reference to any other colors. I would like to incorporate some greens and blues into her as well, here and there, but she is predominantly going to be purples, pinks, and greens. The greens and blues that I put in are going to be accents, and there's going to be touches of white here and there as well. So, with all that said, and the fact that this takes forever, I am going to put on a book. I'm listening to The Land Founding. It's the Chaos Seed series on Audible. And it is an enjoyable action-adventure story about a guy that gets sucked into his RPG game, and he has to actually live the game. And I don't believe he gets out of the game. It's been a while since I've listened to these. It was bending, don't bend. So I'm going to turn that book on. I'm just going to work, and I will come back in after and talk about the things that I've done. I tend to not talk while I'm color penciling because tiny circles, you guys. Tiny circles and layering over layering. And I've started with, I have these two colors on her right now. I don't know where my glasses went. Where'd my glasses go? Don't panic, I got them. Can't see without them. Well, I can, I just can't see up close. I have Heather Purple 037, and these are my Castle art pencils. And I have Rose Pink 034. These are the two colors that are on her right now. And um, I drew her in. This color down here is my pink color erase pencil. This is a gorgeous pencil. I love this pencil. It draws really nice, and it's blending in with all the colored pencils really, really well. So I'm enjoying this. I also have out possibly to put in some purple and some light lavender. And they're just kind of sitting over here. And as I go, the pencils that I use, I'm going to leave out, and they're sitting on a gray cloth over here because I will forget what I'm doing. And this is a fairly big piece. It's going to take several days to get it finished. I'm shooting to get her finished tonight, like as close to finished as I can, so that tomorrow I can work on, the foreground and then her background elements. There's going to be a couple turtles right here. I'm so excited. I'm going to put a couple turtles in and maybe a little bit of fishies. I'm very excited about this piece. I hope it turns out the way I want it to. All right, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to put my book on, and I will see you guys in probably the next clip. Yeah. So, here we go. Hi, guys. Welcome to the voiceover. We are diving right in with the colored pencil and making quick decisions. These decisions were not quick. It took forever to pause and think and decide. I decided on, for shadows, to use this, looks to be the heather purple. I go back and forth between the heather purple. Yeah, that's what that one is. And the Prussian blue and ultramarine light for all the shadows. Right now I am dropping in the heather purple in all the areas where I think she needs a little bit of shadow, in the arm, in the bottom of that arm right there, along her chest. Even though the orb is glowing, I feel like there needed to be shadow in that area. I'm using also this rose pink, and these are the Castle Art colored pencils, you guys. I have out my 72 set and my metallics set of 48, and I'm all over the place in these bins. I also have out, you can see on the side there that I have out my PrismaColor, I think it's 12, well, it might be 24 set. Yeah, my 24 set to pick and choose from. These are most of my colored pencils, the three sets that I have. Sharpening. These Castle Art pencils, you don't have to use a lot of pressure to get really good color payout. And here I am putting down the trays so that you guys can see them and watch my color selection process as I go. I chose a really pretty green. Which one are you? You're that jewel green. I'm pretty sure I have all the colors here that I was using. Yeah, that's more of a turquoise. It's teal green light. And I'm going to go back and forth with a bunch of different colors. I have a teal green light, which I'm popping in. I'm not really digging the teal, but once you start with a color, it's kind of a good idea to stick with it to give a little bit of harmony to the piece. So I'm going to go through and drop in all of the teal everywhere where I think I might want it. And I'm trying to get in to convey the shape of the scales, I guess, the fish scales that she has. And then I bounce back and forth between the teal and the purple. Again, that's that, what are you? Heather purple and teal at this point. I also have a true purple, chromium green, lavender light, coral. What are you? Oxide of chrome green, hooker's green, The teal we just talked about, the ultramarine we talked about, the Terry Verde, I don't know how to say that. I have a couple of blenders. I have my PrismaColor yellow, the rose pink, my PrismaColor, what are you? I can't read that. But here, right now I'm going back and forth between my Castle Art pens. Most of this is Castle Art colored pencils. And I've got that deeper purple going on right now. And you'll notice that I tend to hold on to the pencils in the left hand that I'm using currently and then switch out. It's quicker for me that way. But I'm putting in the base colors of the scales, going up the side of that body to get a sense of balance, layering in the pink and the teal on the back of that arm to get in once again some shadow. And I'm going to go in later and put some scales on her arms too, I believe, later on. But we started with a base of watercolor washes. This is B paper. And in the clips that I didn't put in because they're utter crap was the watercolor base, throwing that on and putting a light pink wash over her just to give myself a starting point and not working against just white paper. And did a little time lapse into, I forgot to press record. I lost a little bit of footage of me doing all the scales, but you can see it's slow going. Layering in that first layer off on the right where it's all light, and then that section on the left is, I did say right? The light on the right and the darker on the left. I'm alright. We got this. The darker on the right, or on the left hand side, is layers and layers of colors. I got lost in it. And once again, going back and forth with the pink and the teal and the green and the purple and layering them one upon the other to give that sense of jewel tone that I really want her to have. I'm on the fence about putting any kind of metallic or pearlescent colors on her, just because I think the colored pencils are vibrant and jewel toned enough that she doesn't really need that kind of attention grabbing detail. I'm keeping it very loose and nondescript at the base of her tail there, that the foreground is going to foreshadow anyways. I want the detail, the level of detail that I put in on those lower scales is less. It's just less. It's less tuned in and less in focus. So I'm going super light and trying to work a little more quickly than I was earlier on the other side, on the other smaller scales. I'm really digging how she's turning out. I was going to try and keep her mostly pink and purple with mild green highlights, and I straight up got carried away. She is all the colors of the rainbow at this point. And later on you'll see some yellow come into play as well. Not so much in her fins, but yeah, dropping in some greens, getting some vibrancy on those edge scales over there, and really just enjoying the process of layering the colored pencils and listening to a book and getting out of my head as I work. And see my hand over there? I have all the colors I'm currently using gripped in that hand. Not tightly, but I have a towel. I put a towel off to the side. You can see it. It's on the right hand side. It's gray. So that I could set them down as I go, but clearly I'm not doing that. I really like the different, the kind of glow that I'm getting, layering the light colors and then the dark colors over the light and then the light back over the dark and then the different colors over each other. I really dig that about colored pencil. how you can layer all the different colors and still see them peeking through if you look real closely. But if you look far away, it coalesces and looks more solid. I just really am digging colored pencil, you guys, so much. I chose a PrismaColor green because it just felt right. Going strictly by feel here, not really thinking at all consciously about my decisions. Looking for a sense of balance in the piece. I grabbed that teal, and I set the colors down on top of the tray that I haven't selected much from, without even thinking about it, really. I just set the pencils down that I was using on top of the colored pencils that I'm not. It's odd selection, right? Yeah, we get in a whole lot of work and on this fin, and you can see her jewel tones just coming together on her lower half there. I'm loving it as it goes. You guys drop in the comments below how you think about what you think about my process. I'm interested to know if you do things differently, if you do colored pencil pieces, if you have a different technique. Here I'm dropping in. I picked up that Prussian blue. It is a gorgeous blue. It's almost indigo, and indigo blue is one of my favorite colors on the planet. And once again, keeping it very loose and suggestive down on the bottom. Not getting that purple in there. Not trying to delineate all of her scales down there. And then I noted that I didn't have very much of that purple going on up at the top, so to balance it out, I'm going back and forth with the purple and the blue and the purple and the blue. And just getting further and further away from her being any kind of pink and purples. She is a multicolored menagerie of scales there. The consecutive layers, I work a little bit more firmly just to get more solid color and to try and blend the colors underneath in a little bit. Give it some depth and shadow effect from scale to scale. Thinking about keeping the darker part of the scale up closer where they're layered, top over bottom. And then mostly where her skin comes into play and the scales kind of fade away a little bit, I'm just dropping in a little bit of color to let it look like the scales are kind of emerging from her around her belly button hip area, and then she gets, of course, more definition in her scales as we go down. I really wanted to leave in a belly button. I'm not sure why. Oh, I got this colored pencil blending stuff. That's what I'm doing right now. It is the Meltz, M-E-L-T-Z, maybe it's Meltz, colored pencil blender. You only need, it's from Holbein. It is a fantastic art supply. You just need a teensy little drop, and it goes a long way. And I was thinking maybe I would really like how it blends the colored pencil pieces together and makes them, I think it makes the color pop more. And in the interest of efficiency and moving forward with the piece, there was a little bit of that thought pattern as well. But it's fun to use to get all that blending in that I wanted to get in at the base of each scale and softening things out a little bit. Motorcycle. It's summertime, the window's open. I'll try to soften that sound when I edit this voiceover. Didn't know you had to edit the voiceover, did you? It's good when you're creating videos to review them before you post them, at the very least. And I like how it makes the colors more deep, and she's really just popping off the page and kind of blending in and softening those colors on her skin area and making it feel a little more sleek and wet. I think it feels more like skin, like wet skin with that Holbein blending medium. So I get a little crazy with it, and I just go. Yeah, it's a good tool to have. Pulling that shadow up on her arm and really just getting in there. It deepens that green, and it really, I feel like, makes her pop. Or you guys can let me know. Maybe you think it ruins it a little bit, but I really am pleased with how she turned out overall, to the point that I have her right now. Makes those turquoises really sing, and those greens kind of soften, and the more jewel greens pop. Yeah, completely digging it. I'm hoping the traffic noise from outside isn't too loud. I need to get a voiceover mic. This is my video mic for that I have hooked into my camera 99% of the time. And since I started doing voiceovers, I've been using it for that, but I have discovered that I really need to get a voiceover mic that doesn't pick up all the ambient noise in the room. Yep. I'm really digging how it makes her pink skin look soft and translucent almost. Helps blend that purple in and push the shadows where I need them to be, and give it sort of a more finished skin type feel. If you had pink skin with purple highlights. And I didn't go for the typical busty mermaid. Wasn't interested in that feel for her. She's a little nondescript in that area. Definitely feminine and female, but not, your typical busty mermaid, mergirl. Deepening that back arm, making it more in shadow, even though she's holding a globe that is going to glow a bit. I still feel like it's necessary to get in the shadows, like between the fingers. The hand was a challenge for me. I drew it in, I think, pretty good, but yeah, it was definitely a challenge, and I lost a little bit of footage. I moved the paper down and continued on with the blending medium into her head and those head fins that she has. The I don't know what you'd call them. I liked the alien-esque kind of feel that she has. Very pleasing to me. And I wanted it to look like she had gills on the side of her head and face there a little bit. And then going up into the shadows. She was getting a little orange for me in some areas. I wasn't really digging that, but I figured I could fix that later. And I'm just soft blending to mute out some of that green that I have over the top of her, and then really get in the definition of the shape of her face and how things are flowing. Get that nose in there, blend out that forehead, which at the time I wasn't digging how that looked at all. But I am really liking the blending medium. It felt like it did a lot of the work for me, that base layer work. You can also do that with watercolor. You can do a mostly watercolor piece and go over it with colored pencil and make the colored pencil be your finishing touches instead of the majority of your work, which I have also done. Lindsay Warwick from the Frugal Crafter does that a lot with her pieces. She does a lot of mixed media stuff. She'll do a whole watercolor piece and then incorporate just a few pencils here and there, which is what inspired me to do that as well. And then this globe, man, I struggled with this globe, but I went over it with the pink a little bit, and then I got in there with this colored pencil, also lost a little footage, decided to get in that yellow glow. This colored pencil is the I know it looks super light, but I get layering it on top of the other colors. It is Primrose Yellow. Really made, sorry, I dropped the pencil. All the colors underneath kind of blend a little bit, and I feel like it made her textures on her that I've drawn on her really pop and sing. This is hours later. I lost a huge chunk of footage. I didn't press record when I came back from a break, and I didn't record putting in all the scales on her arms and her upper chest area. I'm really sorry I missed all that. I think it turned out amazing, and right now I'm trying to get in a little bit of glow over. I feel like I got it too dark in her neck area, and then I wanted that yellow glow to be on the parts of her that would be sort of facing that light, that would catch that glint and that shine, because it is pretty intense yellow glow coming from the orb, which now that I look at it, I feel like I lost a little bit of. I really wish I hadn't done what I do later, but we'll get to that. Decided to really just do a once over on this beautiful yellow color. I really enjoyed how it turned out, how it's making her come together with all the different colors are kind of pulling together with this layer of yellow color for me. I also have that blue in the background, the blues and greens for the shadows on her. I didn't want to use black at all. Was not interested. Finally incorporated the towel for my colored pencils. And you'll see in there is a white, that is a colorless blender. Excellent tool. Think it's Derwent. I'm pretty sure I've sharpened it down so much that I don't know what brand it is. But it is a really good tool for blending without muting your colors. It kind of makes them shine a bit and sparkle. I decided I wanted her to have some textures. So with the pink color pencil, I'm putting in spots and speckles, different kinds of, that's the rose pink and the teal. I really wanted her to have some more texture. I don't know why. I felt like her head didn't have enough, given how much work I did on her arms and her tail. Felt like her head needed details that it didn't have to balance out the feel of the piece with the textures. The different textures on her body needed to balance a little bit up in her head area. So that's what I'm doing right now. And pulling in teal and making more textures. There's a little bit of the fin on the other side of her head peeking from behind that fore fin. And then putting the teal in and trying to get a little bit more depth and shadow. And then pink spots over the top of all of that. Really digging how this piece is coming together. Sorry about the motorcycle. At least this guy's gentle about rounding that corner. Didn't rev it up. They usually rev it up around that corner. I'm saying a lot, I think. Sorry about that, you guys. I struggle with that one. I decided to get in some wiggly marks as well and deepen some of the shadows with the pink. Again, highlight that cheek and the outer edges of the, not the outer edges, but the inner edges where they layer, her gills layer a little bit. And then getting in there with that blue again. I feel like it's too bright in some areas. I throw in some blue, that Prussian blue to push the shadows a bit more. Give it some interest. Give her some dark spots. Maybe it's too much. Maybe I just overindulged with all of her different textures, over textures, and color over color over color. But I am so happy with how she finally turned out that, I don't have any regrets at all.
And yeah, lost a little more footage. I got in there with a colorless blender and really blended and softened a lot of that yellow to make it less yellow, to give it that glow, which is what I did on her body. This is a Derwent colorless blender. They are fantastic. If you don't want to add that sheen of like white, I find the other blenders from Derwent make your colored pencil seem more white. It mutes it, and I don't like that. These are really nice, the colorless blenders are. I'm trying to lighten up and soften the neck area. I feel like I got it way too dark, and I don't know how to fix it. So this is my effort to fix it a little bit and really let that glow from the orb shine a bit on that back shoulder. And then on the top of that, the breast area right there, her breastplate, into that collarbone, like the underside of that collarbone sweeping up into her shoulder area. I'm really digging all the textures and colors and how I think she's beautiful. I really do. I'm so satisfied with how she's turning out. I put a lot of pinks and greens and purples on her underarm breast area to kind of make it blend. And then there are some greens and yellows, and I'm blending them all together to give her that wet, shiny glow is the thought pattern there. And some of her scales have pearls in them is the thought, and they are raised up off her skin a bit. Like she's not sleek and flat in all places. You know how fish are sleek and pretty flat, for the most part, the ones I'm thinking about. Some of her is not. Some of her has a bit of pearl and a bit of like uplifted scale area. I didn't like how dark the side of that hand was, so I decided to get in there and blend some of that out. And I get a little carried away with the blending out of the fingers. I just really wanted her to feel more wet and more like she's under the water and give her a little bit of shine and sparkle. And I felt like that was what was being conveyed at the time. I'm looking at her now. I still feel the same way. I just peeked at her. She's hanging on the wall over there. But look at that arm, the arm scales. I love how they turned out. And her elbow blends into the picture a little bit, but I'm not sad about that at all. I believe I fixed that in a little while. Am I taking a huge break right here? I took a little break. And back into the blending. Yeah, I thought about like jump cutting all the blending that I'm doing, but I just really don't want to, honestly. I am going to... Okay, I just noted that is not a colorless blender. I'm actually using a Luminance 6901 Prisma or Permanent Color. It's a white colored pencil by Caran d'Ache, and that's what I'm going over all these areas with. This is I was trying out the new. I went to the art store and got a couple different kinds of colored pencils to try them out in comparison with the white PrismaColor colored pencil, which is so far my favorite. But I went ahead and used this Caran d'Ache white Luminance 6901 white colored pencil over the top of. It's a 001 on the end. White pencil. I thought it was a blender because it's wood on the outside, but it is not my colorless blender. This is a white colored pencil, which actually did a good job of pulling colors in and blending them together and softening her in the areas where I needed her softened. I'm not displeased with it. That back head fin that's behind her more forward head fin was really not feeling like I was behind her and coming from behind. So I darkened that up a bit, and I'm going back over with more yellow. Really getting carried away with that yellow, you guys. Super carried away. But like I said, so yeah, I'm getting in there with another like berry color and putting in some highlights, and then I jump a little bit and zoom way in. I'm in there with the Prussian blue now, creating like scale textures on her face, like super detailed, close up, something you're probably not going to notice far when you're standing far away from her, but I feel like the texture I'm creating pulls everything together, pulls all the different colors I've used on her together and makes it feel more cohesive as a piece. Plus, it's just another interesting texture that I've layered on top of all the other textures that I have going on with her. God, super carried away, you guys. The textures are smaller on her face, and I try to get looser and bigger up with the scope of the size of her head fins there that I have going on. And then a little bit of detailing around the mouth. I lost some of the shadow and depth around her nose and lips. So I put that back in, and I think I lose more of that pink, that hot pink that I have around her eyes. I think I might go back in and, yeah, I put in this lavender color and it softens that stark pink around her eyes, which I think I'm going to go back in and pull back out. This is that white colored pencil. I really wanted her eyeballs to glow, to feel like they're not human, and to have a little bit of glow. And then I just straight up get carried away with continuing on with the white and the yellow and blending back and forth and back and forth. At any rate, I'm really digging how she's turning out. I'm zoom out and scooch the paper back up, and we are going to get rolling on. No, we're not. I lost footage again. Dang it. So there's where I lost more footage. I missed the entire section of putting in the Fallen King. He is in my previous larger scale mermaid piece, the Coral King. He will be linked in the comments below if you guys are interested in taking a look at that video. But I got in here and I drew him in with the pencil and went over the top just like I did with her with colored pencil. And as you can see, I'm trying to put in that same yellow and give it some glow over the blue background that the orb has. Because in the original piece, the orb is, or his background is very, that's the printer in the background there. His background and his piece is very blue. Like it's deep, not deep, but more solid blue. And I'm just going over with the white to mute it out because I didn't feel like he popped. I felt like he was blending into the background a little bit too much. And I wanted the orb to have more of a glow feeling. So I'm trying to go over all that yellow and blue and whatnot with the white pencil to give it, once again, that shiny feeling. Oh, and here we go. I regret doing this so much. These are Kiritake Pearl Starry Colors, and I put that down as immediately like, nope. And then I went over it with the white, and I just stopped and moved on. I moved on from that to, just because I was so unhappy with how it looked on that part of the painting. I got out my M-Gram watercolor palette and started blocking in her foreground. This is coral, and it's all soft and pink and greens, and there's a bunch of I forget what you call it. I never remember. At any rate, there's a bunch of greenery leaves in the water, and the coral, the soft coral, is where she rests all of her globes. She just sets them gently into the coral. And I went ahead and just dropped in color on color, watercolor, let it bleed around, try and give that base down of the different textures that the coral has, with the lights and the darks and the greens and the pinks, turning in a little bit of bits of gray and deep green. I decided to go ahead and make this first orb a red one as well. And then I didn't care for it because it blended in too much, and I blotted. And got in there with some of the, I'm mixing blues and greens I go over the her background a bit more and deepen that blue that's going on, full well knowing that I'm going to go over her background again. That's why I'm using this. I didn't bother changing out brushes. I just went ahead and got in there with the color and threw it down, and I'm not worried about it being uniform. I feel like water, the color of the water isn't always uniform. It can be varied and have greens and blues in it, so I wasn't too concerned about that. Or the flat feeling. I didn't want it to feel flat, like a flat color. I wanted it to feel like it had depth and a little bit of movement. I go all the way around her with this. There's a little bit of, because the paper's been moved around the house so much, there's a little bit of texturing here and there that I need to incorporate. There's a little bit of stuff on the paper that I need to incorporate into the piece so that it isn't so noticeable. But I grabbed my bigger brush for the other side. This is my number 18 Princeton Neptune round watercolor brush. It's one of my favorite watercolor brushes. And I'm just blocking in her, around her, getting that over the greens and blues that I already put down, another layer of blue-green, to kind of give her background some uniformity. And given the colors that I've put in her with the colored pencils, I want her to feel like she's in the piece and not like stuck on. So that is the part of the goal of doing all this. Plus I drew in a big fin in pink pencil, and I didn't really care for that. So I need to cover that up in some way. I'm just ignoring it at this point. I'm pretending it doesn't exist. It's a good plan, right? And then, yeah, there's a big gouge in the paper over there that I need to incorporate. And you can see it in the upper left-hand corner, that line. Yep, that one right there. I need to incorporate that into the piece. I'm putting a bit of coral over there, so I'm hoping that will help. And when I get her background in, the two turtles, I'm hoping that will help as well with balancing out some of the stuff that's going on with that background, because it's all over the place. And I've decided to brush over the edges of her to make her feel more in the piece. And then I'm, like I said, the green blue, not worrying too much about the solid color, because there's going to be coral below her in the background as well. I turned the piece on its side because I was running out of space on my little table here. And I'm continuing to drop in that foreground coral along the bottom edge of the page, which is now off to the right. The white spot in the middle there is more globes that you'll see pop in later. And I decided to go in with more green than pink on this side. I just felt like it was more interesting. And I'm deciding on the colors of the orbs over here. Blue, green, blue. And then what else did I go? Oh, another pink one. Okay. And then I wanted to have a little rim glow on each one, which is, I'm pulling out color right there. Pulling out that watercolor paper with a drier brush. And popping in a little depth in the middle. And a little bit of texture for movement, like something's going on in there, but I don't want it to be, once again, terribly in focus or obvious. Perhaps when she picks up the globe is when it pulls into focus, and until she picks it up and touches it, you don't really see what's going on with each one. You have to actually pick them up and touch them to know what's going on. And I decided to do the side wall while I had the paper turned and get in that other bit of coral growing up the side of the wall that she's in, a crevasse or a cave that she's in. And put in a yellow globe right there. I feel like that went well. And I'm really digging the different textures that the watercolor is lending for the base of the coral that I want to draw in with a colored pencil in the next video. We're almost done with this video, almost done with the voiceover. I hope you're not too bored with it, that you stuck around this long. If you did, thank you so much. I'm so glad you did. Anybody has any thoughts or ideas or suggestions for the piece, please drop it in the comments below. I'm interested to see what you have to say. And I'm just going over the coral with more color at this point, trying to incorporate that background a little bit with some out of focus textures going on behind her. And yeah, just getting that in. I'm going to put fish in there as well, some fish and some turtles. Again, the turtles, I'm very excited about them. But overall, I'm really liking the painting. I'm putting in some of that starry pearlescent paint right here. I'm not liking it. I blotted out, I put more in, and I blotted out, and I just am not. I thought maybe if I dot it in, it'll create a glow on the rim of the globe. Once again, I didn't care for it. I still don't care for it. I feel like it is not something I should have done in the piece. And on the video, it doesn't seem to really pop, but in person, you can definitely tell there's a sheen and a difference in the texture on the paper, and I'm just not happy with that. And there I go again. I figured since I put it on one globe, I probably should carry it through the piece. I have it on the globe on her, in her hands, and the one on the right, and I just go ahead and mix in the watercolor with the pearlescent paint, thinking it'll not be quite so pearlescent. Didn't quite work out. But yeah, that's what I'm doing here, and I do it on each one of the globes. I drop in a little bit of watercolor and then grab a kind of... So this is where we're at so far with the piece. I am so happy if you stuck around through the whole piece. Thank you so much. Give the video a thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. And I will see you guys in the next segment, probably a week from now. That is the goal. Bye.